Yuji Itadori has had enough. Enough BS, enough suffering. How many have to die in order for the cursed to be exorcised? I really like this chapter because for me, other than obvious reasons like with Yuji's toughness, his glow up, and combat prowess, there is also this renowned sense of satisfaction of Yuji's genuine question in the nature of a curse. Yuji's purest, raw emotions are on full display as he is completely disgusted and done with holding anything back. It's nothing new, nothing Yuji hasn't already expressed, but something about how this once naive boy aches and hurts because of the pain Sukuna causes has an enormous impact. So in this chapter 214, we see the result of Yuji's hatred, the power he inherited, and the strength he yields to stand against Ryomon Sukuna. Yuji's always had this inborn toughness and physical prowess, but the sheer jump in feats and power are insane. I think with little implications we get from this chapter and hopefully from the next one will fill those gaps, but seeing Sukuna get a taste of his own medicine is incredibly satisfying. If anyone was gonna throw hands with Sukuna, Yuji certainly deserves it. Just seeing Yuji go toe to toe with the king of curses, that is crazy. So let's delve into this amazing chapter of Yuji Itadori versus Ryomon Sukuna in Fearsome Womb Part 6. Starting off on a disaster, there's no one to help Hana and she was tricked by the guile of Sukuna, and in Hana's naive moment of weakness, Sukuna went feral and chomped down on her body, biting clean off her torso toward the right shoulder and severing both her arm and their wing. Brutal. I mean, the sheer inclination to attack Hana like that was so premeditated and animalistic. He wanted to make an example out of her, and that honestly, it just seemed personal. It's so unreal just how animated Sukuna got when he bit her. He's definitely like the most evil character in the manga. Sukuna didn't even give Hana a chance as he threw her off the building disrespectfully. And I guess Sukuna really is a lady killer, isn't he? But this is dark. There's really no time to process this situation and tragedy. It just happens. I feel we need more from Angel at least, so I highly doubt this is the definitive end of Hana, but we'll see. Hana just got introduced as a character, and I don't think many of us got too attached to her like some Nobara replacement, but she deserves more characterization. If Gege were to treat Hana more than something like a Megumi simp, which she's been. I mean, she had the power to kill Sukuna, so there's gotta be more to it than that. So seeing this transpire, Yuji is up, and he sees it all. And I swore Mans was on his deathbed, but apparently Yuji just walked that shit off. He is quite literally the definition of built different. Seeing his friend Hana like that was the last straw. And reading that splat sound effect as Hana falls from the building was chilling. I think Yuji in this moment was thinking of so many instances of the carnage of curses. Junpei's death, Nanami's death, Nobara's death, Shibuya, Megumi, and now Hana too. He just got to meet this awesome girl Hana. They really clicked. He liked Hana so much as a friend that he was afraid she'd replace Nobara. And now that too is being tarnished in this never-ending nightmare of curses. And Sukuna is very chill right now. This honestly is like another day to this guy. Just insects failing to satisfy Sukuna's boredom. So he sees Yuji rising from the rubble, glaring at him. At this point, Sukuna hasn't got a clue as to why Yuji is up. He just smacked him through buildings, and now to Sukuna's surprise, like a classic shonen protagonist, Yuji steals himself and does a superhuman leap off the building, crushing his footing under him with the sheer force of his jump. Crazy. Remember when Yuji needed Nue's help to run up a building? Nah, now our boy is on something else. You could see it in his face. The rage, anguish, and viciousness of Yuji's will. Both Yuji and Sukuna are at each other's throats. This awesome double spread kind of mirrors the color page Gege did for chapter 56. So this manga, it's like it's going full circle. Yuji and Sukuna crash down the building, and Sukuna picks up that something is definitely off. Yuji is still going strong like nothing he's seen before, and remembers, quote, "Right, that brat is from back then. That damn Kenjaku sure is twisted." I love how Sukuna knew about Kenjaku's relationship with Yuji, and he likely remembers their memory from chapter 143 with Kaori and Jin Itadori. But even he finds it creepy or twisted. Sukuna is probably the most effed up person in the series. I don't even want to mention what Sukuna is implied to do back in his heyday. However, whatever lengths Kenjaku did to create Yuji, and you all know what I'm talking about, what that thing did, absolutely unholy behavior. YouTube guidelines probably won't even let me explain it. Even Sukuna found that twisted, which says a lot and confirms a lot of things in my mind that I did not want confirmed. But being Kenjaku's child, Yuji is gifted with the power to suppress Sukuna and act as a vessel. Naturally, his physical body is tough, abnormally tough considering his affinity for sorcery. It's almost like some kind of restriction, and that's purely just headcanon, but Yuji seems roughly born human-ish. He couldn't see curses, he had normal amounts of cursed energy, and I'd argue, unlike his brothers, Yuji probably was not stillborn like the other death paintings. Remember, cursed wombs are part curse, part human, and have the blood of Kenjaku. Actual fetus wombs or cursed objects given bodies via the vessels of human hosts. Almost exactly like incarnates today with the Koen game players of ancient times. That's also a part of Kenjaku's very messed up origins and unholy arc, because it's up to imagination 150 years ago how Chozo's mother got pregnant and was experimented on by the most evil sorcerer in history, Noritoshi Kamo, but I digress. Yuji's circumstances are a bit particular, and now that Sukuna is out of him, it's like Yuji is unrestricting himself mindset wise, like growing from negativity, and his strange physical prowess and his toughness is more apparent. Yuji actually seems really special now. Yuji is like fully realizing his physical prowess. It's not too different than how we see Yuji fight before. He uses the environment. He has extreme superhuman strength and is a martial arts genius. However, today we see Yuji is so much more sharp and enhanced. He just has quite a bit more of an edge. So Yuji's not compensating anymore. He's dominating. His speed is off the rails. He's crushing pavement, throwing massive boulders. Yuji has an unrelenting amount of strength that actually caught Sukuna off guard. In this moment, Yuji is locked in, bloodlusted you could say. However, suddenly Sukuna activates his signature dismantle and cleave, but instead of severing Yuji, the cut is too shallow. Yuji stumbles on the ground, and their clash sparks some very fascinating dialogue. In the midst of Yuji's anguish, he questions the very nature of not just Sukuna, but all of you. Why can't you just live normally? Why can't you just live without causing suffering? This actually mirrors Yuji's encounter with Mihito, because he was questioning how one could be so cruel. Like, what are you? Because curses possess the rationality of a human, but are true evil, malignant beings that live off of negativity. So Sukuna responds by saying, "To me, the real question is, why are you all so weak? Why do such weaklings cling so fiercely to life? How can a creature that falls apart at a touch say that it always wants to be happy? Your suffering is natural. You people are meant to be chewed up." Then Yuji remembers that awful truth from way back in chapter 27. These guys are and will always be curses. And man, that is some peak dialogue. Yuji really is just so pure to find logic and reason in actions, in living, But when faced with the instinct of a curse, he just can't help but to question it, and Sukuna's answer is so brutal. This is someone who massacres, devours people, and is wrought in destruction. He is like the Dark Buddha, living selfishly for his own desires. And this is why Sukuna is like a calamity, a disaster that chews up the weak without pity, without remorse, and the weak can't even withstand the passing storm. Why should Sukuna care about a creature so weak? He is the fallen, the disgraced, the one who abandoned his humanity. In whatever sense that Sukuna died, to die as a human, die as a curse, so to speak, Sukuna has died as a human well before even reaching cursehood. He understands people, but never will he change. Sukuna knows what he is and what he'll always be, and that core concept will never change as long as curses exist. This conversation between Yuji and Sukuna kind of surpasses just themselves, because it's actually the instincts of a curse versus the so-called dignity obtained by human reason. Which truth will prevail over Jujutsu Kaisen? So Yuji grits his teeth and challenges Sukuna to see if he can chew up me and my suffering. And what happens next is chilling. Sukuna ravages his curse technique Dismantle and Cleave, and Yuji is cut all over. His ear tip is slashed off, his face is serrated, his whole body is cleaved with thousands of cuts. But Yuji won't back down. He just takes it like nothing. Just a quick note though regarding Yuji's durability. No doubt this feat alone has something to do with Yuji's toughness and another factor that I'll mention in a second. But Yuji is unironically built like a tank. Even from Sukuna's initial hit from 213, Yuji was shaken, but there were no exit wounds on him. The impact of the hit merely blew through Yuji and his clothes, and we see he has a hole on his jacket, so there was an imprint on his chest, but the inertia of the blow flew through out of his back. And I mention that because Yuji still has no reverse curse technique. It's all just Yuji's inborn toughness. The wounds he suffered now are still there. No amount of healing is taking place. It's all Yuji and his own strength and durability. I will admit though, toward the end of the chapter, Yuji's severed right ear seems to grow back, but the line art here is extremely iffy. You could argue that because it wasn't emphasized or drawn with a cut / blood that he actually has reverse curse technique, but it's so iffy with Gege's line art. Also, Sukuna's statement about Yuji being from back then is also convoluting because it's not super clear if Sukuna refers to an ancient power that he's seen before, which is super crazy. That is such a crackpot theory, but it is possible. Or if he just means from chapter 143 with that flashback that I mentioned earlier. I have to admit, Gege is very good at surrounding Yuji in so much mystery, despite us seeing so much from him. First of all, you brothers might have noticed Yuji is not dead from this attack. And this is a technique that is preached as the most refined and among the most potent abilities in Jujutsu Kaisen, which is true. Dismantle and Cleave should cut anything precisely in one fell swoop. Inanimate, cursed energy based, it doesn't care. However, it adjusts its cursed energy level depending on the target, and Sukuna's cursed technique right now is unknowingly being suppressed and weakened by Megumi Fushiguro, which is how Yuji is actually tanking Dismantle and Cleave. And this is a awesome panel. Yuji might actually be him here. I did not think we'd be seeing Yuji tank Dismantle and Cleave today, but here we are. And not only that, but Yuji pushed through this attack and managed to get a clean, solid punch on Sukuna, ending the chapter. It seems right now Sukuna is getting kind of screwed over because this is probably not what he thought would happen when he switched to Megumi. The curse technique's cuts are much too shallow, and instead of Yuji's body being hard like Sukuna thought, his own output is being depleted from the inside, so his curse technique suffers. His cleaves lost their edge, so to speak. Otherwise, Yuji would have already been mincemeat. Who knows what other abilities might have suffered. So Megumi must be the GOAT for real. It's not Megumi being suppressed by Sukuna. No, Sukuna is stuck in there with him. That is terrible for Sukuna because it essentially nerfs him. It wasn't even that bad in Yuji's body, it might be even worse in Megumi's. This chapter was crazy. The Yuji glow up is insane, and I'm sure the Yuji stans and fans are having a field day right now because this was pure madness. Yuji really just proceeded to tank, dismantle, and cleave, then 5-knuckle shuffle Sukuna. Bro must be nerfed because I never thought I'd see the day where Yuji throws hands with 15 fingers Sukuna. No less right after getting his ass ragdolled literally the chapter before. But what do you brothers think about it? For me, it was definitely sudden, but oh my goodness, it was so satisfying. Yuji going pure ape shit, demon god versus demon god was pure ecstasy. I loved him this chapter, but even more so, I enjoyed the deeper aspects with the dialogue that they had. The implications that Kenjaku created something like Yuji so durable and tough is pretty crazy. Even crazier as to why Sukuna finds his methods twisted. But I wonder if we'll see Megumi in Sukuna's innate domain holding him back. At this point, Sukuna's getting double teamed. I wouldn't even be surprised if they managed to suppress him like this, but eventually Sukuna has to find a means to regain his power because the whole point of reincarnating is to build his strength, not to suppress it. It could be via a binding vow. Sukuna could hold Megumi hostage like he did before, but I think Sukuna might release another technique like domain expansion or use 10 shadows to stop Yuji's onslaught, at least to slow him down, because Sukuna has so much at his disposal. So if he gets suppressed now, Megumi is less than optimal as a vessel. In my opinion, I only imagine Megumi as something like a temporary vessel, but we will see soon. Other than that, there's no break next week, so it's gonna be hype. As always, thank you guys for watching. Please share your thoughts on this amazing chapter. It's gonna be very interesting how Yuji scales now from here on out, because it seems all of his classmates were just surpassing him or were already on an entirely new level of power. But now Yuji has strength to keep him relevant and actually is fighting Sukuna now. So I wonder how this will go, and who knows? Maybe our boy Yuji will hit us with an awakened Black Flash or something crazy. That would hit extremely hard. Or he might even awaken some type of curse technique. So I really enjoyed this chapter. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share the video and all that good stuff. And I'll see you amazing guys in the next one. Bye-bye.